Welcome to Dope Talks KE with your hosts Modoni, Didi, and Warenga, where we aim to bring you nothing but dope conversations on a regular. So, guys, we have missed you. We are so sorry for that. But life happens. And because life happens, we attend to the happenings and then come back later. But here we are. And the show must go on. Warenga, we miss you. And you best come soon. This seat is getting cold. Anyway, guys, so hope you've been well. Hope you've been great. At least I'm not alone today in studio.
Not alone.
I have amazing company.
I would like to believe myself as that.
And I'm looking forward to having dope conversations with you today.
I may not be Warenga, but I shall make this seat warm.
Anyway, guest, your name, please.
Other than guest, they call me Rasheed David Mutaha, the Rasta with soul, with the heart of a pastor. Nimeishiwa hapo. Adjectives zimeisha, but yeah, I'm Rasheed Mutaha.
Oh, cool. Anyway, Rasheed, quick catch up. So, how have you been? How's your week been?
It's only, is it Tuesday?
I know. You see, I miss my co-host. At least it will be. So, how have you been?
Sasa unataka okay, sawa.
How have you been?
I have been good. I've been awesome. I have been coping just like any other young person out there. The week has not been there's not been up and downs, but when you live where I live, every day there's just a new drama that just keeps you entertained. I mean, the other day there was a bar fight. That was fun,
wow.
So that's how I've been. How have you been?
It's very exciting, eh?
My life is exciting. Every day there's just something happening. Every single day. There was a day guys decided to beat up cops, and I was like, wow, Kenyans have heart. Kenyans are strange.
Don't say where you stay. I don't.
I live somewhere at the corner. Hapo juu karibu na chini. Ukienda west karibu na east. Hapo ndo naishi.
So yes, I don't.
Wiki yako.
This shouldn't go to your head. We still need you. So please, don't disclose more. Anyway, my week has been okay. It's been great. I think for me, my highlight was last week on Friday. We're able to have, is it last week or the week before? We're able to have our alumni dinner. So that was really beautiful. And it being the 5th alumni dinner for my high school, we're able to raise funds. We are able to still continue the mission, educate girls, continue mentoring them, sponsorship, everything and anything involved, with girls in our former high school. So it was pretty cool. We got to dance. We got to auction Pascal.
The Pascal. Which high school is this?
The Pangani Girls.
Oh, it has to have an article. The Pangani Girls.
Previously known as Duchess of Gloucester. I hope I've said that correctly.
Well, I'd love to tell you something, madam. It's the Duchess of Gloucester.
Perfectly.
I know that school. I have seen it so many times in my walks.
Hapo kuna flyover.
Enye kitambo iliko hapo chini. Alafu kalori kakaamua kupita nayo. Like kwa huko juu.
Ni muhimu.
That time I think I was in high school. Funny story, yeah. And I was in a day school at the time. So now I'm already telling people where I live. But I had a movie shop that's just after the school. And so I'd make a point of, especially on weekends, and I had a skateboard, yeah? Because cool kid manenos, yeah? So I'd make a point of, because now they had to cross the road,
yes,
because the flyover was still being renovated. So I had to make a point of always skating at that time when
you knew the hours of
I knew
crossing.
The hours. I was like a teacher there. So I definitely just make sure I am, skating at that. But I know, you see.
No kuvuka na Pangerian? Tutaongea baadaye.
Wawili.
Wait.
But anyway, but that sounds like you had an interesting week. That sounds awesome.
It was.
The only alumnus I've ever been a part of would be either my primary school, because my high school life was, in a lot of colorful with
Eventful.
regards to the how many uniforms I wore. So I wouldn't call myself an alumnus of this school or that school. Even the last school I finished at, I don't like to talk about it because it is a complicated.
Okay. But let me ask you, speaking of education, this week we have people like Sakaja. Who else? I can't quite remember the rest because Sakaja first is a hottie and so he's been trending, so he has my attention. Me, I'm not voting in Nairobi, so I don't know who your contestants.
Maybe hottie is not
it's
in my
hottie. And then here he is with a dimple, so we can relate, the whole dimples, whatever. So then you've spoken about the uniforms. At this rate, guys need to be graduating. When you graduate, you make sure you've kept your graduation
photo.
Book. Not even photo. You can go to the studio and say you graduated.
That's true.
Just make sure you have your graduation booklet.
Because
the circus that has been happening
is absolutely crazy.
It's crazy.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I actually was reading the newspaper today and looking at the names of, I think it's like, so it's so far 7 different politicians who are almost about to be barred.
Wow, because of education?
No, just different things.
Okay.
I mean, for instance, like Sonko, it's the case stories. And then, but at the end of the day, the poster boy for all of that was Sakaja. And he took up like 3 paragraphs of that entire page, just Sakaja, and this is what he has been going through. And you tend to begin asking yourself the question, hey, Vanna, what's going on here?
From 203, you've been doing an actuarial degree. Okay, I know actuarial is not easy, but you've been doing it from 203 and we're in 2022. So that's a whole child.
That's me.
So I hope
203 I was in class 2.
So I
think.
Hey, we are just here, but it's just so sad. And then now I remember someone, I haven't seen yet the whole TikTok thread, where they were saying that if you're in IT, there's a bill that they want to pass.
Yes, the ICT bill.
The ICT bill about your now qualifications. And yet the people who are trying to pass this said ICT bill don't have the said educational background.
It's actually
just a shame.
It's an absolute shame. And basically the bill is qualifications must come from a recognized institution, etc., etc. Yet in this day and age where I can actually in 2-3 weeks learn how to code from the internet for free and easily get myself a job. So those are the people they're going to be barring. I mean, there's so many people during the COVID period when everything was on lockdown who actually got into this space of understanding, software, hardware, what's happening. How do you code with JavaScript? Me, I'm talking because I also was trying. So you see, people like those who actually learned it, who are interested, learned it, and actually have jobs at the moment are the ones who are going to suffer because they're saying now we won't recognize anything that is from the internet and not an institution as a skill. And this is a soft skill that you can learn in as you go. Because
you see, it's also not something that is fixed. It keeps on changing.
Yeah, and the saddest bit is the people that are benefiting from this are young people. Because they're the ones who adapt to change easily. Now, if you want to continue limiting the opportunities and spaces that young people are getting, then sasa una-expect si mayouth dem tuende wapi bana.
Unajua sasa venye I like penye umeenda sasa Mutaha. Umeenda sasa na kamutaratara. Speaking of
yangu.
You and your skateboard over here. You were actually vying for a political seat, an MCA position. So are you still vying?
Not at the moment, no.
Nay wisdom yote, why not?
2 things actually are involved in this. One is personal.
Okay.
And personal is the bigger issue around it or the bigger part of it. But on the other end is just the politics that is involved in a simple seat as member of county assembly.
There's nothing simple about that seat.
It's no, okay, there's nothing simple about it. True that. Absolutely nothing simple. The work that is cut out for an MCA is absolutely huge.
Me was not even speaking about the work. I'm speaking about I know the benefits behind that seat. That's where the politics is in there.
Siku hizi jina ni mheshimiwa by the way.
Mhesh, you know?
Habari yenu watu wangu.
Speak to your people.
My people, Habarieni. But it's really just around, I think for me it was two things, the support, even with young people. And so I got to a space where I started to understand what happens inside politics, not the outside that you see. We talk about these spaces are open and available for young people, but then the support that can actually exist for these young people is not there. There are a couple of organizations that are doing it, and I am so happy to see there's a couple of my friends as well who are actually vying and they're doing well. And even when it came to these nominations where people buying tickets, bruh, I'll still see a couple of my mates who actually went and vied as independent candidates and are on the ballot paper.
They're now aspirants.
Yes. So it's really around that support, and also just seeing how my youth demands wanatumiwa vibaya tena sana. Leo kuna vijana mongea vizuri and they will walk with you and talk to people, etc. Tomorrow they're the same people who will be given a couple of shillings and then come and completely defame your name. So
it's nasty.
Yeah, it's nasty. And now with things that were happening in the background with my personal life, I just decided, let me take a step back from being on the ballot box, but not a step back from politics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is also, sorry, if you don't mind me asking, so how old are you first, Mutaha?
I just turned a quarter of a century old. Ladies and gentlemen, I am 25 years old.
Why? Look at you. We have a Gen Z, man. Buddha. Hapana. Tulisema hiyo jina ya Buddha. Hapana, hiyo jina ya Buddha tulisema tunareserve wenye wanafaa.
Hauna hadi nimekuja na cheers baba.
Kitambi please iache.
But I have the cheers baba jacket.
Hauna kitambi na hauna sandals na socks kumachio look. But anyway, now I like what you're saying, and even what is coming out of your mouth, not in a bad way, but being a 25-year-old, you've been able to understand some of these things, and the fact that you're now in the background, I'm excited for the change that you'll bring. Yeah, you're learning now from inside, and you have time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think basically what we decided with my team.
You have a whole team?
I have a team, man.
Hey.
I have a team.
Not TIM.
TEAM.
There's no I in team.
There's no I in team, but there's a me. But what we saw was the best fit with my team was, as opposed to being in the limelight of politics and not doing the work for the people, but for the people who put you there, which is like the party, for instance.
Yeah.
We decided let's switch it up and actually do something that's more community-led. And so I already had even my 5-point agenda, and I printed the posters. And
what was actually a 5-point agenda?
Okay, so there's something around healthcare and access to quality, affordable, and dignified healthcare for my residents, my people.
Your peeps.
My peeps. This also included just speaking to people about the benefits of having insurance.
Okay.
And also upgrading the only county hospital that exists in Gara to be also youth friendly, so that people can seek services there.
Yeah.
And I can say this for a fact. I am one of those people who go there. I went there once to check it out. Nilikuwa nashindwa mbona nikiwa mgonjwa siendangi kwa ya Kanjo.
Why not? Yeah.
Why not? And there's a time
tu ya Kanjo when you know you need to get a medical certificate, which is so
sad. Which is very sad.
At the health. The health certificate for the council.
Unaandikiwa na umepigwa hadi stamp. So healthcare was that. So just also amplifying it to a space where every person would have known that this is a place you can go. Even my son, I take him there. Then number 2 was around education. Oh, yes, daddy. Number 2 was around education and upgrading schools, just ensuring that they have all the necessary equipment. Even from the school I went to, it's still uko Tungara. Mimi nimesomea huko, nimelelewa huko.
Born bred raised, man of the streets, you know what I mean? Wow.
But just around that, and also access to bursaries. And that one was really because for me it was painful to see now during the campaign period the bursaries inapeana in their thousands. And then
not 10,000s, thousands.
Unasikia today we have given out 600 bursaries, so come tomorrow. I'm like, in one day. What have you been doing the last couple of days or years? So education and just making that as accessible as possible. Then there was around the small biasharas. And for small biasharas, it's just sort of mitigating or getting some mitigation structures between these biasharas and kanjo, because again sisi tuko na kibanda. Mimi nimeshikwa na kanjo mara kadhaa. Nimepelekwa hadi City Hall. Ni kidogo nimeosha huko. It's not easy. My mom has been caught before. My dad has been caught before. So I've seen how that conflict already exists. And I am familiar with it. So how it was around just ensuring that we can get to a space where we're mitigating that as much as possible. Even if it's, creating, there's this small business license that they pay for, I think, per day. How do we actually ensure that Kanjo recognizes that as a business license? Like they're paying their KRA. And then also access to funding, because funding is a big thing, and the last couple of years have been really tough on a lot of small traders. A lot.
Both small and big traders.
So now just that access to funding. Then there was around women and youth. So for women and youth, there was also again access to funding, ensuring that they can start small businesses. It's ensuring that youth and their talents are also recognized. So we had an idea with a couple of people of even building a studio, because there's a lot of rappers huko manze. We had the idea of upgrading the current field, because we have a football team. So just ensuring that we're reaching the cultures of young people, understanding the cultures of young people, and then actually mitigating that. And then finally, it was on just generally, I'd call it climate, but the environment. And so, like the drainages to be fixed. At the moment, they're fixing the roads, but then they're not considering the drainages.
They've not factored the drainage.
And there's this problem in a bunch of places in Ngara. When it rains, it floods, and then it doesn't flood rainwater, it floods sewage water, and not
the
just
whole
Ngara.
Of Nairobi.
So just ensuring that is looked at, and also something as simple as garbage collection, which is still run by quote unquote cartels. So how do we take that back and ensure that it's, because when this, for instance, the last 2 weeks in the area where I stay, they had not picked garbage.
What?
Katela nakwambia, tutakujia tu one day. So it really was a pathetic sight. So how do we now...
Not just a sight, also
the
health.
Smell, the health na iko karibu na mavibanda. So just coming back and creating something that ensures there's always that consistency, and not at when one day somebody decides I won't do my job. It's not done. But that was my 5-point structure.
You actually had a plan and a vision.
Plan, vision, mission, goal, business
all that.
Strategy.
It was smart.
You
are very specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound. Hey.
Look at me now.
Look at you now. Wow. But anyway, it's not too late again, Mutaha.
Yeah, it's not too late. And so everything that we had set out to do, we still intend to do it, but now under a community-based organization. Just ensuring that young people have a livelihood that they can fall back to, and giving them that space to be themselves.
And the fact that ulkosha jitokeza, that already gives you an upper hand, but now also the sad thing is the strain that comes with it, muhesh. Now people think that you have money.
Bro, mimi sitembeangi saa zingine. Oh my God, that can give you a headache.
You're saying now for me, because I look like someone, you resemble someone. My life has also been easy. I'm like, it's not her, it's me. But anyway.
But nonetheless.
Basically,
ukishafika hiyo state unaitwa muhesh. Ukitoka tu hivi kwa nyumba, pesa imeshatoka.
Bado ni mhesh. Hata kutoka zamani.
Ukikanyaga tu hivi, anza kukaunti hiyo ni 100. Kanyaga ingine, hiyo ni chwani ya Java. Kanyaga ingine, ini ya nini. So
the Lord will provide. And then, Muta, another thing, you've spoken about your son. I was like, hey, daddy, please.
My little ninja.
How old is little ninja?
Little ninja just turned 5 last month.
So you are a parent at 20?
Yeah. So at least now it's easier to keep up with his age, because me, if I turn 25, I know the last number in the age yake.
It's -5. You always go -5.
No, it's like 25, 5, 26, 6, 27, 7. So stay
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's just there. So that's the best part. But Mans is 5 years old at the moment. Yeah, he's a joy, he's a blessing, he's an interesting person. He is every bit that is me and every bit that is not me. And his mother.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he has the best of both worlds.
That's nice. So what does fatherhood mean to you? You see, June, I think also the reason why we had to come is so that guys don't go like, oh, you guys just focused on the moms. What about the dads? You know? So what does fatherhood mean to you?
Don't just do 2 episodes about moms. Talk about the dads.
Actually 3.
Actually 3. And then the only one for men was grooming. Anyway, we don't care.
Life happens.
But fatherhood for me is not what I am doing, but what I have experienced.
Okay, elaborate.
That is what my father has been to me.
Okay.
That is fatherhood. I remember when the first time I learned I'm going to be a father and to a son, the first person I told was my dad.
Wow, not even a mom. You report yourself.
By the way, vile kumeenda
nimechoma.
Hapana, no, it was my paps. And I remember what I did is I took what are they called, those 2 scans. It's been 5 years later, I've forgotten. I want to call it not CT scan. Ultrasound.
You see, that's why we had 3 episodes for men and 1 for men on grooming.
So I took that to him and I showed it to him, and he's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Yo, man, you're about to be a grandfather." And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So now what do I do? How do I do this? But fatherhood has meant being. My dad was always there for me. My dad has been a constant mentor. I don't think my dad has ever chappered me, but he's made me cry with his words.
Way.
Because he used to put me in a space and a place where I realized that, my future is my own and I need to be taking care of myself. And for him, he made it so that you would see that he made it as though he was the example to follow. I remember there's a time when I was going through I'd call it depression or semi-depression. Just I was in a space and I would get like really, 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 really drunk. And this one time I came home and I'm just like, the evil. I think he even stole my phone. And then he made me look for it the entire morning. Because he's a jokes man. And then he woke me up and told me, "Go look for your phone." And I'm like, "I don't know where my phone is." And then I was so stressed out. And then somebody was like, "Oh, your dad has the phone." But at the end of the day, you know what he told me? He sat me down and he asked me, I drink, but have you ever seen me stagger? Have you ever seen me come to this house completely drunk? Have you ever seen me speak to your mother in a bad way when I'm drunk? Have you ever seen that? No. Why? Because I've always been trying to show you that when you get here and you become a man and you feel that you want to also start drinking, this is the example you need to emulate. We are 2 boys at home, and the both of us are in one sense or the other just a mirror of my dad. If you meet my brother, he has from my dad, other than just the looks, for him, he got this aspect of decisiveness. He understands what he's doing, he knows what he wants to do, and he always goes for what he's after. For me, I got the aspect of compassion. Because the thing with my dad is he's a very kind human being, even though he never wants to admit it. He'd be like, "Mimi unaonaga kama niko na marafiki wa kusaidia." But then on the other end, he's the same person who, when I was in primary school, was sponsoring a friend of mine. In high school, there was a guy we used to walk home with, and he'd just be like, "Oh, why do you leave Nini?" Found out about him, and then he was like, because the high school I went to was for kind of underprivileged kids. So he decided every day unakuwa unapitia hapa unakula na unachukua so fare, And he did that for like 2 different people. And then for another guy who I never met. And then I was like, hey, who is this kid who's always coming over here? And then I was told the story. So that aspect of compassion I also got. And so for me, it's fatherhood would be, how do I also become the kind of figure that I've been, or the kind of space and environment I've been brought up in, how do I also show that to my son? Because I remember there was once I was doing this program, I think it was Man something, I've forgotten.
Man Enough.
Yes.
Man Enough?
Yeah. I needed to know how to be a man. I was young, Vanna, I needed to step up mbio. But one of the quotes that stuck with me the most on that day or during that entire period was just something around a fatherless generation, which is what we're seeing nowadays. A fatherless generation. Young people are out here having babies, but they're not taking up the responsibility. It's a fatherless generation, and I don't want to be one of those. There's a time I even used to go to Facebook because the mom and I are not together.
Yeah.
But we are working out how we raise the child together. But I'd go to Facebook ile ya deadbeat dads just to ensure hakuna siku amekasirika kanieka hapo.
Kidogo tuone Mhesh akiwa kwa Edgar Obari. Na mimi nakunywange hiyo chai, my friend. Hey. And I know you. What?
And you know me.
I would come and bash you like what the hell?
Nione nimetumiwa 10 bob kwa M-Pesa. Ndakimbia.
Ati Mhesh hata ako huku nje, his nini is not even taking care of us. Where?
Yeah, no. So that's the thing. Just trying to create an environment and space that we continue to show the value of fatherhood, because fatherhood is it's been there for the longest time. I mean, if you want to look at it biblically, you have God the Father. If you even in the Quran, he's our God. He's Allah. He's the giver. He's the protector. He's the provider. So then, how do we also emulate these different, categories of influences that we look at to actually in our own homes and spaces? I think that's what fatherhood would be for me.
I like how you've spoken about the fatherless state we are in, because like now, last week there's a school, I think in LD, where they are saying that it's a girls' school. They're saying that the parents, they're having, we used to call it Doomsday, but it's Parents' Day. When parents come, it was that bad. When parents come and nini with the school to see how you've been performing academically. So this time around, they say they don't want the moms, they just want dads.
Yeah, I think I saw an article like that, but I didn't read it. But I saw that article somewhere, yeah.
I think I must have shared, so probably you must have seen it. So there's been such an uproar about it. And then I was like, I understand where the school is coming from. Because also the principal said, the other time we had Doomsday for the fourth formers, and we invited only moms. So... so by moms they mean mother figures, anyone, because it's understandable at some point a parent may either be away because of death, work related, or just not present. Then that's why I think even in schools like us, we used to have alternate, an alternate whatever. So this time around the school was like, no, we want father figures, be it a father, be it a brother, be it an uncle or whatever. So there's been such an uproar about it. But I was like, I somehow understand where the school is coming from. And then also, like 2 weeks ago, when the president talked about the state of single homes, headed by women. And then that question, I think, is now becoming, it's inatokea sana. Like, shida iko wapi?
Watu wako wapi?
What's the problem?
Where are the babas?
Where are the babas? Not babas. Where are the babas? So, I don't know. But, and you've also spoken about co-parenting. So how is that for you?
It was not easy.
Okay.
It was not at all easy. First of all, you have to understand, I am young. So...
Yes, you are young.
Emotions can be easily triggered.
Meaning you got your son In your young days.
In my young days, in my youth.
That one wasn't youth. In your teenage.
People are running around and me I'm over here getting children. I think. But co-parenting, it was a tough thing to actually get started or get into. Because how we left things was not at a good space. It was like, I'm out. It's like World War 3 or 4. So it wasn't easy to even just begin the conversation. It was the child, nini. So there was a point where I had absolutely no idea where my son was or how my son was doing. And that was driving me crazy. Why? It was easy for me, I feel, to just walk away and be like, it's all good. I'm young. I can just move on, find another one and, live my life.
Mbegu
ninazo. Ndakwanga tu najua kuna ingine mahali lakini ni sawa.
Akinipata atanipata.
Go ye forth and fill the earth. But as I said, that's not the environment I grew up in.
Yeah.
I grew up in an environment with a present dad. And so I also wanted to be that person. And so for me, I think it was really, first of all, just establishing that communication. It was not easy, but I tried my very best. I went through friends, family, natafuta watu Facebook, nauliza msichana kwaje, was the child, I want to see them. And I think I saw him maybe almost a year later after we had separated. But then when I did, I remember the thing I just said is, I know we are not in a good space or place and that's all good. But then allow me to provide for this child. And then after that, I was first to actually go and create this draft co-parenting agreement paper. Google bana. Google was my friend.
Cover your ass.
I was like, so what am I decided to do? Nini, I drafted it. I sent it to her. I was like, what do you think about this? No reply. I'm like, bro.
You are left on red.
Hey, bana, blue ticks. I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I even? So it would get to points where I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to try. I'm tired. And then 2 days later, I'm like, no, I want this to happen. So I really pushed for that. And eventually when we were able to sit down and chat and just find a way forward, it has actually been easier. I think co-parenting now it's a space where we actually communicate about the best interest of the child. How is he doing? What does he require? It's a space where I can say, hey, check, at the moment, mimi sina hiyo kakitu. Would you be willing to cover
me for now?
For now. And then when I'm good, I'll take over. So I think co-parenting, also what I've seen, also requires a partner who is willing and committed. Because at the end of the day, it's for the child. But if your partner is not willing...
Partner meaning mother of the child, or partner the person you are going out with? No,
partner being the mother of the child.
Okay.
Also in this scenario, the mother of the child.
Yeah.
The other parent.
Yes, the other party.
The other party being willing and committed to actually getting that work done. Because in the initial stages, it was again, we talk and then all of a sudden, nothing. Nimekasirikiwa tena, nashindwa sasa nimefanya nini? Hadi kidogo niwapeleke kotini. Nilikuwa nimechoka. I'm like, no, let's just get back to the table. Then you talk and then nothing. So it was very frustrating at first. But then when, for the mother of Ranan, when she came to realize that this is the best for this child, then it became easier with regards to how we raise this child together. And so, you see, even in such a space where she's raising the child and I'm not in the picture, I'm actually still in the picture. I'm actually still imparting my values and morals on this child every time that I get to. I'm actually in a space where my son knows me, recognizes me, and understands that there's this bond that I currently have with my dad.
Yeah.
So be it ensuring that I have him, weekends, going to school for his functions. It's just creating that.
Don't worry. So what message would you have for your son now and for your future kids?
Hey, don't do what I did.
Yeah, it's just 5 words. It can all be summed up in 5 words.
Don't do what I did. No, for my future children, I think this is something that I've actually told myself before. Not told myself before, but told myself I would ensure I tell my children. It's really about being the best version of yourself. It's understanding who you are, what you are, and what you want to achieve, and following your dreams, your passions, and your goals. Because it's quite easy for, I think, our parents, it was not easy for them to understand us because sisi tulikuwa tunakuja na vitu zingine mpya, and then I
like the you are talking over here. It's like you're a child of the independence.
I'm a child of the 90s. But there was this thing of lazima ukue kama nani, lazima ukue kama nani, so your individuality is lost. So for me, for my son, and for my future kids, it's really find your individuality and hone up to it and really harness it as much as possible and be the best version of yourself. And at the end of the day, I shall be very proud of you guys.
Oh, wow.
Future children, this is a message. I will be proud of you guys.
Today, I wanted to see what don't I know about you. Then I came across your blog. And then
what don't you know? My first child was at 17.
That one I know.
Oh.
I know. Would you like to talk about that? Or we shelve it?
Yeah. There's nothing to talk about. There was a baby and then there's not a baby.
And did that okay, let's first shelve it for now. What I liked was this blog post called Gentle Giants.
Hey. I remember it. I remember bits of it.
So it was saying, even men sing, open your ears and you will hear the tunes residing in our hearts that tell a tale of a man, of men, tall or short, strong or weak, black, brown, whatever. A battle in the end, they all fight. Even men cry, tears of joy, tears of sorrow, because inside they feel quite hollow. Everywhere they go, their eyes follow actions today under scrutiny tomorrow. And then I'm skimming through it. And then the last paragraph the last stanza. Even men need to be protected from the faults of this world, from the effects of her words. Don't hurt the opposite sex, we say to men, but never do we whisper the same to her. That's neither just not fair. Hey. You are in a space.
When was that written?
January 15th, 2019. Wetuache kucheka. I laugh at you offline. Ulikuwa umeachwa. Acha nikwambia hata hizo zingine nilikuwa nimeona. But I saw this post and it really touched a part because it's true. We whisper things of what you guys are to do and then we don't whisper the same.
Yeah, and it's also just the kind of, we've been talking about it now, the toxic masculinity that exists, shelve your tears, don't cry, don't show. Men cry in their stomachs, things like those.
Bro, strong
bro. Hizi vitu ziwisha. But then at the end of the day, people are going through a lot. And when you've read that, it's, I actually don't remember writing it. It's the struggles of being a creative,
Hey.
Yeah, we forget. But I can actually resonate with some of those words right now.
And I've actually gone just through a few. So when I was reading, I was like, you used to blog, so it was really...
Yeah, and some of those words, even now, I can resonate with them. Just getting to a space of hopelessness and feeling like you want to talk to someone, but then I think we've created, or the society that we created before and we're trying to change now, is not allowing men to actually just be vulnerable. And so that's just the thing. And so that's what we need to change that, manner.
Hey. Anyway. That's how this whole episode has been.
Yeah.
So, Aki Rasheed, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Even for opening up, even for taking time to be here,
Even for getting lost.
We don't say that. So, anyway, guys, Mutaha, any last words? And then also, would you like to know would you like to let our people know what you're currently engaged in, what you do, nini, in case, I don't know,
in case mnataka kunitafuta. But I think
your handles as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. But no, just to say this has been amazing. And such conversations need to continue happening. And so Dope Talks KE is doing awesome. So follow Dope Talks KE on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, IG, YouTube.
Kila mahali.
But yeah, and for me it's just it's been fun being here. And if you want to follow me at Rasheed Mutaha on all platforms except on Twitter, ni MC Engara. But
Coming
I need to change
soon.
that.
Inaitwa manifesti, hata
I'm
usichange.
manifesting
Iache
it. I've even found my offices, bana.
Name and claim.
Name and claim.
You know, like where the children of Israel walked through the walls of Jericho, 7 days, pronouncing and claiming it. I dare you to do the same.
I have done it.
On that
Hallelujah.
note,
Hallelujah.
yes. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for taking time to listen to us. Please make sure you interact with us on all our social media platforms. And yes, looking forward to having more dope conversations. So for now, adios.